About a week or so ago, I was on a Discord channel having a discussion with some computer geeks. And we somehow got talking about the nature of consciousness and the nature of the brain. And most of the computer guys kind of viewed the brain as like a computer, which is not to be which is to be expected, I guess, because when we have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But one of the discussions that really kind of piqued my interest was they were talking about how basically what is your brain is trapped up in your skull, surrounded by bone, and you only interact with the world through your senses. And I think they were trying to draw an analogy to a computer and the input-output devices of the computer, but that really caused me to think for some reason. Our brains, of course, don't directly interact the world. We are dependent upon our senses to give us information. And it made me think our senses are really pretty limited when you think about it. I mean, we have, vision, hearing, the chemical senses of smell and taste, and the tactile senses, essentially pressure, heat, and texture. And that's pretty much it. And not only that, but those senses themselves are pretty limited. We only see a tiny portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Our hearing frequencies are pretty limited, 20 to 20,000 hertz. So there's very low frequencies, very high frequencies that occur that we don't ever hear. And of course, our tactile senses are pretty limited. And our chemical senses are extremely limited. Anybody who has a dog knows that. But not only that, we only attend to a tiny portion of that sensory input. Particularly as you get older, you realize, things can happen all around you without you paying attention to it at all. And even the eye, for example, the fovea, that is the one portion of the retina to which we actually attend to at any given time. So really, we are dependent on these highly limited senses, and we only pay attention to that tiny bit of information that we actually attend to. And the rest of the world, our brain just fills in. We just basically build a model of reality in our heads based on tiny little bit of sensory input. And then we move our bodies around in this model that we create in our own brains. So my image of the world, the model in my brain of reality, is different than anyone else's because they're perceiving different things, they're attending to different things, and basically we're moving around in our own little individual realities. Which made me then think about psychoses. One definition of psychosis is basically you have a warped version of reality. Your sense of reality is not what reality actually is. But based on what we've just said, none of our versions of reality that reside in our brains are actually what reality is. So basically, we're all freaking nuts.